Welcome to the Resilient AF podcast. I'm Alex Fresh.
And I'm BennettKnows. We believe everything vibrates at a certain frequency, and we're here to raise the vibration.
You'll hear stories of resilience, manifestation, and what to do when you find that even resilience has a toll. Because the bitch is tired, honey.
Okay.
We're back at it.
Back at it. Monday morning with a hangover.
You have a hangover?
Yes, I
Why?
do.
What'd you do?
Baby hangover.
What'd you do last night?
It was Cinco De Mayo.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course,
Duh.
I drank.
Cinco de Drinko.
Yeah, Cinco de Drinko. And yeah, I just have a baby hangover.
Okay.
Today. A baby one.
What does that mean?
It means it's like one of the ones that creep up on you. You know, you wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, I'm good.
What is it, like a slight headache or?
Slight headache,
Okay.
but it like creeps in on you.
Got you.
Because, you know, I woke up this morning, had breakfast, did whatever I had to do, and I felt like I was fine. But as soon as I got here, my head started throbbing and pounding. So yeah.
Well, you need some
baby
ibuprofen?
hangover. Yeah, later.
Okay.
Later.
Okay.
We got things to do. We got things to do.
Yeah, we got the
It's heat to
podcast.
drop.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yes.
Well, before we get into like the TT, I saw something.
The TT, the titty.
I saw something on the internet over the weekend and I thought it was actually pretty crazy because I don't believe in like a coincidence. I believe in synchronicity.
No such thing as a coincidence.
Nothing. There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yep. And I was listening to this story. This guy was reporting on Boeing and he was basically saying that the firemen who work at Boeing, like their badges got shut off because they're going on the strike to do a new deal, right?
The airplane
Yes. So
manufacture place.
But what sucks for everybody involved is that they can't work right now. So if they need assistance, they have to call the local city's fire department, which is our tax dollars instead of Boeing paying them. Anyhow, that led to the guy saying Boeing, you know how there's like been Boeing in the news, like crazy
Boeing's
shit.
always in the news, like their airplanes,
their airplanes
are falling apart.
Like the shit's falling off in the middle of the air. And so,
I know there's a lot of people that like work at Boeing or allegedly they said they would never get on like a certain aircraft because that aircraft is unsafe. So yeah.
Well, I think that a lot of it comes down to maintenance. I'm pretty confident with the airplane coming right out of production is not kept on good enough. I don't know.
You know, some screws are loose.
Some screws were loose,
Yes.
like that door that fell off midair, right?
Mid-air. Could
there
you
was
imagine?
I would have been like,
imagine.
I'm dying.
I died right. I would die right there.
Yeah, and then there was there was the door plug that fell off. There was a ramp that fell off.
A ramp.
What
the fuck?
Recently, like why was that not in the news? But this guy said a ramp fell off. This is a weird thing. This is the thing about like the coincidence and the synchronicity. Okay, the ramp that fell off fell near the property of a lawyer who's suing Boeing for the door that fell off.
No way!
What the hell?
What the fuck? So the guy who was suing Boeing for that door that fell off mid-flight, during the lawsuit,
A ramp
falls off another Boeing plane and lands in his fucking yard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the odds. Come on.
That is like evidence right there planted for him in the news. He's like, yes, I'm suing Boeing because look at this. There's another fucking ramp in my backyard that fell. These planes are unsafe.
Yeah.
That's scary. I have a flight coming soon and...
I always used to say, if it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. But
if it's Boeing, you going now.
yeah, I mean, I still trust Boeing's airplanes for the most part. I mean, have you been on an Airbus before?
I think so.
Yeah, so the Airbuses are super loud. I thought the first time I was on one of those planes, I was dying. Their planes are like, rear, rear.
What the fuck is going on up there?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's weird, right?
Hella weird.
Yeah.
He's definitely getting some shmoney for that because he has the evidence.
Yeah. Anyhow, time
Picks,
for...
or picks and picks. Let me
Bennett,
pick,
you don't know how to say it.
Let me pick my peak and pit.
There you go.
It's a tongue twister. I'm hungover. Gosh.
All right, what's your peak and pit for the week?
My peak for the week, even though I'm hungover today, I had a really good time yesterday for my Cinco De Drinko. I just like hung out with a couple of homies, you know, but unfortunately it was raining. So like everything was canceled this weekend. There was like a few parties.
Dude, Lovers and Friends.
I know. Lovers and Friends
in
was
Vegas.
canceled, which is insane. They canceled it like 10 hours before the festival.
Yeah.
Last year was so much fun. I
Oh my
went,
God.
by the way, but I can't imagine going all the way out to Vegas and then like 10 hours before you put so much money in.
That's fucked.
Everything, and then they're like, nope, no concert.
A lot of people don't have extra money to just be fucking off like that.
Right,
You know, like
exactly.
They save their money for things they want to go do and experiences that they want to experience.
Yeah.
And then not to be able to experience them is fucked up. I sound like Kendall Jenner now.
But yeah, that really, really sucks. So
Yeah, it was rainy and
it
shitty.
was rainy and shady for like the Cinco de Mayo, but I guess
Yeah.
it made it really, really chill. I had a good time. So that was definitely my peak. And my pit, I didn't experience any pits this week. I don't know. I didn't
Good.
really. It was a pretty chill week. I got everything on my to-do list done. I'm counting the days down until Aruba, which is in
buddy.
like 3.5 weeks. So,
Hell yeah.
you know, hitting the gym, trying to eat as much food as I can to gain some weight, but I haven't gained a pound
Protein.
yet. I eat protein all the time, and I do like all the protein they say.
How much?
I try to do 1 gram of protein per pound. So I'm doing like at least 160 to 180
A day?
A day.
That's a lot.
And
How are you not gaining weight?
I have no idea.
Bro.
I do not gain weight at all. It's
Must be nice.
Insane. So that is my pit this week, that I didn't gain
That
a
you
pound.
can't gain weight. People are hating you right now.
But no, really, I'm trying to be like thicker than a Snicker when I hit the beach. But I got some really cute bathing suits, which
Oh,
I'm
hell yeah.
super excited about that. But
That's
yeah.
always the best, getting a new suit.
Yeah, and I just need to gain some pounds so I can feel it right.
So if you have any ideas on how to gain weight besides eating more protein, hit us up. Let Bennett know.
Yes, because I need some LBs.
I'll give some to you.
You don't have any to give away, girl.
I have gained like 12 pounds
No
this
way.
year. I needed to.
Wow, yeah, because last year, after everything that happened,
I was 92 pounds.
You lost so much weight.
Yeah. I mean, I was muscly, but I looked so fucking skinny.
Crazy how like life will take a toll on your health.
Yeah.
Mental, physical, all of that. So we're
Yeah.
glad you got those 12 LBs.
Yeah. I actually like it better. I like it.
You look good.
I like being very skinny, trust me, but I like it right now.
Yeah.
And 12 pounds on me is a lot because I'm only 5 foot tall. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Skinny bitches. No, just
My peak is okay. You ready for some tea?
Yes. Hello. I've been waiting
Yeah.
all week.
I mean, I hate to give him any clout whatsoever, but my ex owed me some of my stuff that was at our old house, right?
Okay.
So after his final, I had a list of things that he's supposed to get to me. So 3 weeks go by. I'm getting my things delivered. Anyway. There was some boxes and I'm opening these boxes.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I was devastated. Did not want to break up. Did
Yeah,
not want to get
madly in
divorced.
love.
After we broke up, he just continued to show me why I'm better off without him. This is another one of those times. So I open up this box.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a bunch of shit from the kitchen.
Like
Well,
kitchen appliances and stuff.
it was my old supplements, which
Okay.
most of them are expired at this point.
Yeah.
But on top of all of the stuff, right when I open it up, there's 3 Polaroid pictures
Of what?
of him and a girl.
To, what girl? Who?
I don't know who it is. I don't know.
Just like a random girl?
Yeah.
You've never seen these photos
No.
before. These are brand new photos.
Oh no, this was after we broke up for sure because it
What?
was in the house.
No,
like,
the fuck he.
yeah, the fuck he
That
did.
is fucking petty as hell. Let me see the photos.
Yeah, I feel
No,
like
he did not. Who is this bitch?
I don't know. I didn't even try to find out either. That's how much I don't give a
What the
fuck.
hell? Why the fuck would he put those in the petty as fuck? Or what if she put them in there?
I mean, I think that he did, but
Ew. Oh my gosh. That's
So-
basically you get your stuff back and he sends you pictures with some other bitch.
yeah, so he definitely wanted me to see that. Nobody who's going through something that we went through, who actually has
Heart.
will not do that.
Yeah, that's disgusting because it's like one thing to part ways and divorce because
Yep.
things didn't work out, you know, but then to like even further send shots, like what's the intent? Is it to make you jealous? Who knows?
Right.
But it sounds like you're just like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. This is another example of the shit that I'm not going to go through. So let's
And-
burn them.
Let's do it.
I mean, and it's not even a bad bitch either. Like,
No.
come on.
So
Just saying.
I mean, and then my pit for the
Wow.
week is I don't have one either. I was really trying to think about it.
Wow, we didn't have a pit. High five to us. Pitless weeks.
Yes, love those weeks.
Other than losing some LBs, but you know, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Now it's time for Ask Alex.
Woo!
If you don't know what Ask Alex is, it's a segment that we do where anybody can write in, ask us a question, I answer it, Bennett's answer is it, and then you hear what we say.
Yeah.
But usually they're super spicy and really fun to listen to. So
yeah, and it's really good advice because we're genius. Hello.
So what's the question this week?
All right, this week the question is, would you, should you, and could you be friends with your girlfriend or boyfriend partner, their girlfriend or boyfriend? Could you be friends with that extension of your friend?
Super good question. I feel like it really depends on who the friend is. If it's like a best friend, I would never do something with my friend's boyfriend or girlfriend. But if my best friend has a boyfriend or girlfriend, I would want to be close to them too.
Yeah.
And I think that if you and your best friend have a really close relationship and you guys trust each other, that it's fine. I wouldn't hang out with him or her, but there's a fine line for sure.
Definitely a fine line, because I've been friends with my girlfriend, boyfriends, you know, but I'm not going to sit there and interact with them on Instagram and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's cool when your friend comes through and they bring their boyfriend or girlfriend and it's like a vibe and it does make you want to be friends with their partner. But then, like you said, there's that fine line, because if they go through it and your friend comes to you and they're like, oh my God, you were arguing about this, or they come to you to rant about something, or, you know, just need some support, you start looking at that boyfriend or girlfriend differently.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure.
So it's like a very fine line, because you don't want to be put in the middle of their shit, because you're always going to take your friend's side either way.
For sure.
Either way, even if they're wrong.
I do feel like there's a lot of people who would fuck around with their friend's partner. I just value my friendships too much. They can trust me no matter what.
And what about after the fact? After they break up? You should definitely not be friends with their boyfriend or girlfriend.
I don't think that you should be friends unless they're okay with it. Unless like you guys were like super all close for like years and years.
Yeah.
Your loyalty should lie with your friend. And it's up to the friend if they're okay with you still being friends with the ex. And it's up to you at that point if you'd want to be. If it was like they just broke up because of whatever, they just grew apart. But if one cheated, you know, it depends on how it ended.
Yeah, because I have a friend, as you guys know, I'm going through a divorce, whatever. I have a friend of mine that stopped hanging out with me and continued to hang out with my ex.
Did you meet him at the same time?
No, I met him years before.
Oh,
which
hell
is like
no.
Totally against it, right? Totally wrong. So
That's
like
fucked up.
Fucked up, right? So no, you shouldn't. There's a very fine line.
So did you say anything to him?
Yeah, I told him I would slap the shit out of him. But now, if I seen them together, I would slap
oh my
the shit
God,
out
did he
of him.
respond?
No, he just looked at me like kind of crazy, like he couldn't believe I said it. But now I really don't care, because you know what they say: a birds of a feather will flock together. And you know, like if they're a feather and that's what they're doing, then couldn't imagine being so disloyal, you know. But you can't teach everyone loyalty. All right, well, hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up. What would you do? Would you still be friends? One of your friends' exes? Hit us up on IG, on TikTok, at ResilientAF3.
Yes, and send us your spicy questions for Ask Alex. Now it's time for the Resilient interview. Maddie, welcome to the podcast. I've known Maddie since high school. We went to high school together. Yeah. We also worked on the radio together, like from like the very humble beginnings. I did radio at URI. Maddie did radio at Rhode Island College. So we were always going to the same events and hanging out, and then we worked at the same radio station, and like we've always been so tight. When I was moving to Seattle, I told Maddie was like one of the first people I told, and you know, she gave me really great advice. And yeah, Maddie was one of the first people I listened to Nicki Minaj with, for sure. 100%. I think we were skipping school and we listened to Nicki Minaj together. So yeah, me and Maddie go back super far. So I'm super excited to have her on the podcast. And you guys know I went to see Nicki Minaj in Vegas a couple of months ago. And one of my girls that went, she was like on a 30-day sober binge or challenge. And she was really inspired by Maddie's story. Okay. So I was like, oh my gosh, when I found out about what happened to Maddie and where she is now, which is amazing. She just sold a house to Big Biggie from Baddies on Zeus.
Oh shit.
Which is like a big deal. Congratulations on that.
That's amazing.
And like, and everything that you got going on in real estate. But when you hear her story, it's just super inspiring. So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Wait, so are you guys the same age then?
Basically,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like a year apart?
Yeah, because you have a late birthday, so you're just like a couple of months older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here again.
Yeah, I'm so happy to. Bennett, as you like said, we've gone back for so long. We've always had you know what I mean? I've always just felt such a like good energy from you, such a good spirit. You're such a good person, genuine person, and you are destined for greatness, like no matter what, always.
Aw,
So,
thank you so
you know,
much.
and I think when you meet other people that have like a really good heart and a genuine spirit about them, it's like, you know, you want to like protect them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, my Bennett. Like, I love him though.
Yep.
Oh,
I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah. But yeah, so I grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, in the smallest state, smallest city.
Yes. Woohoo, 401.
And you know, I love where we're from. I love the person that it's made me. I love, even sometimes it can be overwhelming with like the small town kind of mentality and like feel. It's like it's more about, you know, you attract what you are and who you are, you know. So actually I think it was what, like, it's actually been a while now, like 5 years that I had went to LA, and I actually met up with Kat. And at that time I just wasn't drinking, but I actually drank again like after that. But like my story really starts at like youth, you know, because growing up, my mom actually used to be in AA, like in Alcoholics Anonymous. So I kind of grew up in that environment. And, you know, I remember up until like 5 or 6, she was like heavily a drinker, you know, like identified as like a drinker. She would drink often.
What was her
never
go-to?
really-
Like, what kind of alcohol was it?
I mean, pretty much everything, anything.
Okay.
Like, I mean, not like anything, but you know, it was definitely needed for alcohol. So beer, like hard liquor. Not that I so much remember it being like hard liquor. I probably as like a child remember it being like Budweisers or something.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember like she wasn't herself. Like she was very like it wasn't always like a mom. You know what I mean? It was like this person who is my mom. And I just remember feeling that way about her as a child.
You put the 2 and 2 together, like when she's drinking, she's like a totally different person.
Yes, like she was very cold, but it wasn't like, you know, she wasn't my mom though. So in my mind, it's like superheroes are cold, you know? I think transitioning from like 5 to 6, she actually went into AA recovery, was sober. She's been sober for 25 years now.
Oh, wow.
20,
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm 31. Yeah, 25 years now. Wow, it's crazy.
Wow. Did she do it willingly? She just wanted to get sober?
That's a good question. I think a couple of times she tried willingly, and then it was like my grandma wanted to get custody of me. And it never affected like her mothering. I think they just didn't like how it affected who she was, and they really wanted her to like, you know, take control of it.
Yeah.
It never dawned on me that like something was wrong until I remember it was like a huge like cookout, like a family cookout. And you know, I just remember like my mom and grandma breaking out into a fight, and then I couldn't go back home for a while.
Oh,
and it's
wow.
like deep because, and like with me, for instance, I never feel shame about these aspects of my life, childhood that built me into who I am, because granted that was probably traumatizing as a child, but being an adult now, it's like I couldn't even imagine how my life would be if I wasn't able to be truthful and honest about my life. You know, like the authenticity is like so much more significant than it is trying to like fit into some idea of what is right and wrong. You know?
Definitely.
So moving forward, she ended up getting into a relationship through like recovery.
Okay.
And that was a good thing and a bad thing, because it was like, you know, she was dealing with this whole new lifestyle. And so she just created a whole new lifestyle. But like, she didn't really process that like a 5-year-old was still going to process all this. And I was kind of like left with like a lot of misunderstandings about alcohol and misunderstandings about drinking and lifestyle, and like how you can get caught up in this, because it went from like being completely exposed to alcohol up until a certain point, and then like never having like alcohol around me,
never seeing it, never talking about it,
right?
None
and like
of that.
Only in talking about it, but only in like a negative connotation where like she had to literally save herself from it and goes to like meetings and like has a support group of like people. So it was like there was never a relation to me to it. It was always like something that my mom avoids, something that you do with like your friends and like you socialize with. So
she was just a full-blown alcoholic for her whole life up until you were 6.
well, I think it escalated over time.
Okay.
Just like anything does. Like she has her own battles and issues and stuff that she probably, still is dealing with. And it's not from my perspective, but I think over time, like it starts to wear on you and you really drink to numb. So you can only numb for so long.
When you couldn't go back home for a while, how did that affect you? Because you were young.
Yeah. I still remember it. Like it was traumatizing because I just remember my mom breaking out into a fight with my grandma, and it's not like my family. I always have really vivid memories of, being at family events and having like lots of love and like a large family loving on one another.
Yeah.
And like that's like my childhood memory. But this was actually something that she had hosted at our house, and it was like a going away party for one of my aunts, and then it just went haywire. So I just remember feeling like completely confused and like worried about her, and I had to be removed from the situation for some reason.
Okay,
so,
where was your dad?
My dad was deported to Dominican Republic when I was maybe just under 2.
Okay.
So he's never really been in my life. And I think that also had a lot to do with like how it escalated quickly, because she didn't actually know that until I was 20.
Oh, wow.
She just kind of thought he was
out of the picture. Yeah. How long were you with your grandmother?
I think I was with her and one of my other aunts for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I think my mom went into like a detox or something. But before that, she had literally picked me up from daycare and like wouldn't give me back to my mom. I mean, my grandma has her own issues too, where like she had just tried to take control of the situation, and you just can't sometimes. Like you can't take control of the lives of people. It's like you just have to support them through it and do the best that you can. But in her mind, it was like, no, I need to just like take my grandchild and like run with it. But my mom wasn't. The judge, like what ended up happening was she tried to like get custody of me, and like the judge was just like, no, like she's not that bad.
Weird.
So but your mom does get sober.
Yes. And she stayed sober, which is really good. She stayed sober for 25 years.
That's super good.
It's like identity is a huge factor in all of this, because I always realize that like who we become is actually who we identify as. And I remember being younger and asking my mom, like, well, what did you want to do when you were older? Because, for me, I've always just been naturally ambitious. Like my mom has been like proud of me and like, she's encouraged me and like wouldn't let me do less than what she knew I could do. But it wasn't, she was like, oh, if you get anything less than a B, like I'm gonna, flip out on you. It'd be me. Like, I can't believe that I like, messed up or like I did this.
When's your birthday?
I'm a Pisces, March 10th.
Okay.
I remember asking her that and she was just like, I don't know. I didn't really think about it. It always stuck with me because when you really don't decide who you're going to be, like life,
it sure does.
It lives for everybody. And without like direction and goals and decision making in, who you become, it's going to life you, and then you become naturally a product of your environment. So that was something that always stuck with me. Like, oh, that's why like all of this stuff happened. And that is why I'm naturally the way that I am. And I naturally became different because of, maybe in that time frame of being younger, I had no idea all of this was happening, but for some reason it made me realize like, no, I gotta go that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she ended up taking culinary classes. She got into cooking. She's actually a chef now. She's been a chef for like almost 20 years.
Oh wow, yay. Good food.
Yeah, I'm really proud of her and like the ways that she's like took her story and turned it into, like her path.
I love that.
Because she's always loved cooking. She's always wanted to be a cook, but it was always like she was just kind of, figuring things out as she went along. So now fast forward, I'm 14, 15, 16, growing up in Providence, Rhode Island. It's very common. Like, we had like hooky parties, like You know,
All ages clubs.
all ages clubs. You have basement parties, like just nonstop get-togethers, gatherings, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of my friends that were like, and that was the other thing too. Like, it's a very multicultural area, so you're with like different races, different cultures, different experiences. Like, you might be with Dominican people, with Cape Verdeans, and then like Nigerians or Portuguese. Like, everybody's mixing together, but everybody has their own like customs from their own cultures. So when I'm growing up, I have not been exposed to alcohol within my household, aside from like being at other family members' houses and they had alcohol around.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm at my friends' houses that are Dominican, and they are turning up with their parents, like getting fucked up, or like not even like fucked up, but like drunk or like drinking. I'm like, wow, this is different.
Yeah.
And then like my best friend, like her dad is like, oh, we're gonna go to the liquor store. You guys want something? Like, what do you want? You guys want some wine or like, you know, a little champagne? And I'm like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know? And because I was very like excited to be a part of all this, it wasn't something that like I went back and like shared with my mom. Obviously, like I wasn't gonna tell her like, hey, I'm getting
Right.
drunk.
Yeah.
So I had a very like secretive relationship with alcohol. From like 14, 15, 16, I was throwing big parties. I was turning up every weekend. My mom had no idea the whole time, thinking I was chilling at my friend's house. And I developed a very, very unhealthy relationship with alcohol because of the secrecy, because of the indulgence, like the need to do it in a weekend. And then the lack of understanding, you know, when you don't discuss either with your children or you don't make it an open thing to discuss, it makes it very, very difficult for them to develop a healthy relationship because they just think, oh, alcohol bad, must hide it from my mom.
Yeah.
Must drink as much as I can without her knowing, must get extremely fucked up, belligerently drunk. And
did your mom talk about it before this? No, it was just like disappeared. It just totally disappeared, and she didn't have those conversations with you.
Yeah, no, she's not someone that communicates often. I'm a good reader of people because I can usually sense what she's thinking by how she's reacting or like how she's motioning in her like body motion. But it's never been like a conversation or like a understanding. It was just like, yeah, mom used to drink. She used to get fucked up. Now she goes to meetings and we're done with that.
Okay, so that's why it was like super secretive on your end. You're like, all right, well, I don't need to talk about this either.
There would be times where I would joke around and be like, yeah, I'm getting fucked up this weekend, mom, with my friends. And she'd be like, that's not funny. Like, don't do that. Like, you're a kid. Why would you want to do that?
Right.
And like,
so 14, 15, 16, you were just drinking on the weekends. You weren't drinking during the week at all?
no.
Okay. So then after that, like 17, 18, like what, did you start drinking more? Was it consistently just on the weekends? Like what did life look like?
What ended up happening was, and this is honestly probably the first time I've ever even talked about this like publicly, which is crazy, but I was, 14, 15. I remember getting like completely belligerently drunk after like a friend of mine's stepdad had bought us alcohol. And I just remember them like carrying me and putting me behind the couch in the living room. And it just so happened I was behind the couch. And then I remember waking up and like, you know, I was like in pain, like, you know, in private areas. And I never thought too much about it. I just kind of brushed it off and was just like, oh, that must happen when you drink. You know, I was fucked up. I don't remember anything that happened. And I kind of processed it in my mind as like something I could just not do again. And then I won't experience that. That way I have to just like always be conscious of what I drink and when I drink. And what ends up happening is we as human beings, actually, when something is so traumatic to you, you repress it. And instead of, if you're not able or you don't feel safe enough to deal with it or can't soothe yourself enough to deal with it, then you won't. You'll just pretend like it never happened. And I remember for the next like couple of months, I felt like always sad, and like it felt like I would say like a depression, but I wasn't aware of what it was, like why, you know. Then I would get belligerently drunk without trying, because another thing that isn't talked about is that subconsciously, as human beings, we actually put ourselves back into the places of trauma in order to save ourselves.
Yeah.
So we will keep reliving our trauma until we feel as though we're saving ourselves from it. So I never understood. It was like everything I tried to do, I could not stop drinking so fast and like getting fucked up. It was like everything. I would try to count the drinks. I would try to, put a certain amount that I would only have. I would only drink so much. And it was just like so much pressure on it where I didn't get it. And then I would get drunk and I would want to party and start speaking Spanish. And,
not start speaking Spanish.
No, literally though, like I would speak fluent Spanish, which later on we found out I was Dominican, but
did you not speak Spanish like otherwise, or did you?
No.
Whoa.
Nope. I know.
Whoa.
Wait, you were fluent in Spanish when you were wasted?
Just off at the Patron.
That's bizarre. Dang.
It was. That's why they call it spirits, because who knows whose spirit that was.
Whoa.
That was Madeline.
I always like knew something was like, I didn't feel whole, or like I just felt like something was always missing, or, something was like in the back of my mind. And then I would say when I got to 20, I was in college, and again, I was still doing the same thing, and ended up getting into a relationship. And then what ended up happening was, this is when I met my dad. He actually reached out and found me and my mom on Facebook. And I had just assumed that was what I felt was missing. That it was like, oh, I didn't know I was Dominican until then. Because my mom had just like, she just never talked about my dad. Like if I brought it up, she'd be like, oh, you'll meet him one day. And that was always it. Like, that was it. And I just assumed that was the thing that was missing, that I knew deep down inside was like, what was the problem?
Yeah.
Like that I knew that I was something else or someone else, or I don't want to say someone else, but I had other parts of myself that I hadn't discovered. But the drinking kept going. It was still bad. And like a lot of my story and a lot of what I always talk to about people when they ask me about like drinking or to stop drinking, or, saying that they've tried everything, is identity. Identity is a really, really, it's the most prominent part of our human personality. And at that time, at 20, when I just discovered I was a different race, and then finding out about my dad, and then learning that he was in another country, it was so much to process about my identity. Like, what does this mean about me now? Like, now that I have some questions answered, now that I know some things that I already knew, what does this say about the relationship with my mom and I? It struck so much with my identity. At first, it started off where I was just like lost. And then I started looking around at where I was lost in, and I'm like, oh no, I don't belong here. Like, I was like borderline about to drop out of school. Like, maybe I'm not as smart as I think I am, or like maybe I'm not gonna graduate. Like, what am I wasting my time here for? I could be doing something else. And when I tried to go down that route, I just stopped showing up to class. I started just, focusing in on trying to figure out who I was, trying to really spend a lot of time with me. And I wasn't happy either. So I went to counseling and it was almost like I just figured out a loophole, because like at that point they basically I was on academic probation because I just stopped showing up to classes and stopped taking tests. And they gave me an option, like, you either write an essay to the dean and acknowledge why you're going through this. We'll see if we can get you back into the school.
Okay.
And I had no idea what to say and how to make it sound real and authentic, because I wasn't really even able to process the feelings. So I'm like, maybe I should just find a counselor. And then there was like a free counselor at school. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just go talk to this guy and see what he says. And it was really, really life-changing, but it was the relief of talking to someone that was trained professionally in understanding a lot of the issues that I was going through, and like wasn't interrupting me to like try and fix my problem, and wasn't like trying to tell me how to feel or control my feelings, so that way I didn't feel anything that was gonna affect them or attack their sense of identity. It was refreshing. And so I'm like, damn, I'm about to just keep coming back here. I'm gonna just show up and like, at this point, I might as well just come every couple of weeks. Like, I'm gonna make myself at home. This is free.
Yeah.
I just have this little old man just listen to me for no reason. Why not? So he ended up helping me get back into school, get off of academic probation.
He helped you like create a letter for to write to the dean?
He helped me process what was happening.
What did you tell him? What did you tell him?
I told them that I had a family crisis due to like discovering my father and discovering new aspects of myself. And it really made school a secondary circumstance.
Okay. So at this point, though, you were 20, right?
Yeah.
So at what age did you realize that you were assaulted?
That was later on in life.
Okay.
That was 25.
I just wanted to see if you told the counselor knew.
Like if that's something that came up with the counselor, but it wasn't something that came up.
Because you hadn't connected it yet.
Nope.
Okay.
I had not stopped drinking at that point.
Okay.
At that point, though, I probably didn't have such an unhealthy, like consistent relationship with alcohol. At that point, I was still drinking just on weekends or like just parties. What ended up happening was I started bartending, and I'm just gonna like go full throttle with what I believe that I can do. Now that I have a little bit more sense of identity, I can go full throttle into like what I'm passionate about, which ended up being communication, radio, and even at that time it was real estate. Like I had started out in real estate at 19.
Okay.
And fast forward in bartending, I'm doing music events. It started off just weekends, then it's like 2 or 3 nights a week. Then I'm bartending 3 nights a week, and I'm doing events 3 nights a week.
So now it's every day.
And so you're drinking every day. You're hanging out with friends on that other day of the week, and then you're like, oh, I'm drinking 7 days a week. Then you're like, well, why am I not drinking right now? While studying, I'm drinking while doing this, and I'm drinking while doing that, and everything had to do with drinking. Then it was like I blew up from maybe 22 to 23. I went through a process of like I was baby fat. Now that I think about it now as an adult and a grown woman, I was 19 to 20. I weighed like just under 200 pounds. And I probably weighed over 200 pounds. But I lost like 60, 70 pounds. And I was very, very content with myself. I started a new attraction. I found this new identity. I got, this new career, new life. Everything was going well, except I couldn't get a hold on the drinking. And so I was sloppy. I was a mess. I was going out places turned up and like supposed to be having a good time, supposed to be a business opportunity. And I'm just not able to stand up. So I tried so many times to like quit drinking. And it was like, I couldn't take anything seriously, and not like seriously in the sense of like, oh, I'll just do it like another, like I don't take it seriously, but I couldn't see myself not drinking because I would constantly make excuses about why I was drinking. Well, it's a holiday. I should be able to drink on a holiday, or like I'm at work, but like people are buying it. It's free alcohol. Like we're in a section, there's guys paying for it. It's free.
Like it's not going to do any harm. Free.
Yeah, the disease is crazy.
You start just like giving yourself reasons to make it okay.
And that I did. So then I gained all this weight back. I was still figuring things out, like plan wise. I got into a relationship and it was toxic from the start, God love him, but we're toxic, 2 toxic people. But one thing about toxic relationships, they will hold a mirror to your face of what you literally avoided your whole life from finding out. And I think they just hold it up a little bit more because you're like, oh shit, I'm actually taking part in this too. Like I remember specifically the moment in time that I figured it out. He and I were like about to like have sex. I was like, wait, I have to get drunk. So I started drinking and I started drinking fast. I just remember like playing around with him and I like hit him in the face. And he was just like, what the, like, why would you do that? Like, stop. And I'm like, why? Like, it's funny. Like, we're just having fun. Like, we're just being funny. And I remember like doing it again unconsciously. And at this point, like I'm drinking so fast that like I'm blacking. And again, like trying to save yourself from trauma. Oh,
wow. Yeah.
I remember him like immediately stopping and being like, that is not attractive. Like, do not hit me in the face. Do not like, try to confine me. Like, don't make me feel uncomfortable, because I would not do that to you. Like, this is not like sexy. This isn't attractive. Like, you look crazy.
So you being drunk, right? How did that make you feel? What was your reaction?
I burst out into tears. I was offended, and I never felt so like offended because I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
One, because I was drunk, and two, I never had someone really like a man decide in that moment.
Right.
Any other time, a guy probably would have just used me and been like, all right, never hit this bitch up again. She's crazy.
Yeah.
But he cared, and he was just like, this is not healthy. Like, why are you doing that? I just was like, I don't know. Like, I just was trying to be funny. So needless to say.
But you were really just trauma, acting out of trauma, trying to protect yourself in that moment.
Needless to say, I just stopped drinking for a little bit. And that was probably like one of the first times where I was like, you know, I'm just going to see how this goes and like how it feels without drinking, because I never really did before. I never really like held myself accountable. And, you know, I was also like getting in accidents, like everything that could go wrong, I was doing wrong. And, what happened was I stopped drinking then, but he was a heavy drinker. And so habitually, it was like I was dealing with watching someone drink at the same time as I was drinking. And it wasn't until I met another counselor. So then I had my actual counselor who helped me. She changed my life completely. And then she just can quit her job. God, if you find this woman, if she ever comes back, literally they're taking 6 weeks off. And then I'm like sitting there going through crisis. I'm like, wait, is she coming back? Like,
Yeah, I know, right? Like, once you find a really good therapist, it's really hard, you know, like to think about trying to find another one that's as good. Because I have a really amazing therapist too, and I couldn't even imagine.
She really, really changed my perspective and helped me in ways that like she had to have been God sent. Like, it was so crazy how she would say something. I'd be like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And it started off with her helping me to understand the aspects and the dynamic with the relationship with my mom. What most people don't know is when you start drinking and doing drugs or even smoking cigarettes or like anything that is going to affect your psychiatric mind, your brain stops developing at the rate that it's supposed to at that age. So if my mom started drinking alcohol and like smoking weed and like cigarettes at 12, I would say she was like, yeah, then more than likely if she was, and when she's like heavily using it by like 14.
Damn.
So she was like, it's ingrained in her brain chemistry to stop developing by 14. She might have, you know, decide to grow and heal past that, but if she doesn't, that's where it ends. And that helped me a lot because I was like, damn. She was like, so you have to understand, like, you are having these conversations and holding a 14-year-old accountable for decisions and choices that you need to start making for yourself, and understanding that like they're not her responsibility anymore. Because they were never her responsibility to begin with. And I was like, damn, okay. All right, got me there.
Yeah.
And she helped me to realize that like all of the things and parts of myself that I was trying to become or be every day was so heavy because they weren't me. You know, they were not who I was. They were who I built up in my mind to be, to appease everyone around me. And once I really like looked at that in its own, I was like, oh my God, who the fuck am I now? You know what I mean? And that's when the identity really came into play for me, and like understanding, especially when it came to drinking. So this was the main premise that she helped me understand, and why it's very different from AA. So in AA, you decide that you are an alcoholic and that you'll always be an alcoholic, and that you are someone that is healing with and coping with your alcoholism and the choices you made and the decisions that you made to people. And you do a 12-step program. And it got to the point my mom was like, kept trying to tell me, oh, you should go to AA. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, it's not who I am. It's not who I identify as.
Yeah.
That was when the therapist told me too. She was like, you're right. You're not someone that is going to go to AA and like be able to move forward in it well, because in all reality, you're not someone that is like drinking consistently, constantly, and like can't get away from alcohol. I would go days without drinking. But when I drank, I was not stopping. And she said one thing to me that I will never forget. you are not an alcoholic. You are not a drunk. You are not a bad drinker. You are a human being, a person that has an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And until you identify and separate yourself from good, bad, and the alcohol, you will always drink and do the things that you do when it comes to alcohol, because that is who you identify as. So when are you going to identify as somebody that does not abuse alcohol in a form or way that is unhealthy to them? And she was like, do you want to live? You know, do you love your life? No one had ever asked me that. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And she was like, do you know that you're worthy? And I was like, of being a human being that enjoys their life and loves living. She was like, you were born worthy. You were born to be worthy. And I remember breaking the fuck down crying, like the most tears I've ever had, because I'd never heard someone say that to me. I don't even know. She had me like mind blown with that. So over the next couple of weeks, I had just made a decision within myself, like, you know, how am I going to change my life? Because at that same time too, I had gotten into a car accident and I was hurt pretty bad.
Oh no.
And it wasn't even like I was hurt pretty bad. I was hurt about the fact that I got into the accident because it just was so stupid. It was like I was at a birthday party, a kid's first birthday party, and just like completely fucked up, was drinking drink after drink. And then I drove and tried to take my heel off and went like 40 miles an hour into a parked car, and the shoe like stabbed in my foot. Then a cop like pulled me over. Thank God I had like my real estate cards and stuff, because he probably would have gave me a DUI. But he was like, "Oh, you coming from a real estate event? Oh no, not a big deal."
Wait, did he know you were drinking or no?
There's no way he couldn't have, but
Damn.
I wasn't doing the most. Yeah. So that was the other thing. And no one ever knew when I was like shit faced. Like I would not even remember the night. And I'll call people and be like, "Oh my God, what the fuck happened last night?" They were like, "What? You were drunk?" I remember one night.
Damn.
I literally worked at FET. I met Ja Rule. I have all these photos. He is my favorite rapper. I do not remember 1 minute of it because no one showed up to this fucking concert. And I was sitting there. I literally told the security to watch the bar. My boss fired me the next day. I'm like, damn.
Oh, damn. Well, I feel like you just explained the disease in a really good way, because both my parents are alcoholics. My dad still drinks. My mom has been sober for like a little over 10 years. I don't speak to her for like the last 4 years, but I grew up with her drunk, so I know the disease very well, right? And you just explained it. Like you just shed light in a different, like in like one of the best ways that I've ever heard it. And I spent many, many days in AA meetings with her when I was a child. The AA meetings, they were just weird to me. I don't know. They work for a lot of people, and I'm glad that that is their outlet for that, because the disease is insane, and I'm glad there's things out there. But you just did a really, really good job the way that you explained it.
I'm telling you, that therapist, I pray for her every day. She saved my life. And it was also too that I trusted her enough to listen to her, and she helped me to understand that I could trust myself. Because I swear I probably said that about 400 times a day, that I am someone who loves myself. So I put my phone down when I drive. Everything that I did was because I was someone that loved myself. And I think that alone was why I made a lot of different choices. Like, and then not only that, it was like a lot of things happening at once. So I get into the car accident, you know, I decide I stopped drinking that day. But right before I got into the car accident, my cousin, who I was really close with, he lived in Florida. He was going through so much with his girlfriend at the time. He was in a relationship. He was in a lot of, back and forth. And he called me and he just sounded so like afraid, so scared. And he was just like, I got to get out of here. Like, it's just like, there's so much going on. It's just, I don't know what to do. I was drinking while we were on the phone. And I just told him like, yeah, you should come here for Thanksgiving. Like, I need to see you. I would love to see you. And I'm like, yeah, let's talk about this tomorrow, you know, like, and he got shot that next day and died. That was one of the most painful things I ever experienced. And, I remember going to Florida and like having the funeral and like seeing him, and like I drank and it just didn't even feel the same drinking anymore. It felt like I was numbing. Mm-hmm. And once I got into the accident, I was just like, yo, you're gonna die if you don't just stop. And I was just like, I love my life. I can't die yet. Like, I can't die like this. I can't be laying in a casket. And, you know, my whole family's just like, damn, I wish she had just stopped drinking. I would say it was like probably one of the hardest things I had to do, but it wasn't. It was me completely deciding that I no longer identified with the negative parts of myself. And what ended up happening was 3-4 months after I stopped drinking, I got in an argument with my ex. I don't even know specifically what he said, but it was something about me putting a guard up or something like that, or something. And I just got like this overwhelming like feeling and like all these like flashbacks. I don't know if it was just like an emotion that was evoked within me that just triggered it, but it was almost like I could see me being like raped and molested while I was drunk as fuck, vividly as hell. And I just panicked, and I wouldn't say anything at first, but it just like wouldn't go away.
Whoa. Yeah. How old were you?
25, 26 at that time.
Okay.
And it was because when I would probably feel this feeling, it was something that I was either already drunk, or before I would feel it, I'd be like, ooh, well, I gotta get some alcohol, you know, like.
Yeah, you were masking it because this whole time.
It's still hard to like have those, I feel like, even if you're sober without somatic therapy. That's how in tune you are. Even with just, you know, going to talk therapy, like that's insane. That's like, you're being super aware of yourself. So do you think that like your whole life you were dissociating?
Part of it, yeah. I was repressing. So when I talked about it with the therapist, she said that's extremely common, that there are people right now that you see that are drinking and they have had traumas that they can't even be honest with themselves about. And it gave me like chills immediately because all I could think about was my mom. My mom still sleeps with a light on. Like if you turn the light on, she freaks the fuck out. I remember her just like saying it one day, like, and I was like, why do you always sleep with the light on? Like, ugh. And she was just like, I didn't sleep with the light on until someone came in my room. You realize like all this generational trauma, like all of that, like you talked about with your mom, is crazy because we were eggs stored inside of our mothers while they experienced this trauma. Even though we weren't fully who we were still a shell.
Yeah.
And the shell that we were in is now the body that we walk around in. And so all of that trauma is stored in our body. And
literally.
You know,
holy shit, that's such a good way to put it. Yeah. Because you evolve into where you come from, you know, and like the nervous system, and wow. Like, it's just weird hearing the difference from people's perspective from their childhood and like how it affects them, because my mom was always there and present. So was my dad, but I always feared my mom was going to die. So I just had really bad anxiety when I was a child, and I never wanted to be with my dad, even though he was a great dad. I just always was codependent for my mom. And then like now she got sober, I feel like, because I quit talking to her when I was 24. I was pregnant and I was like, I couldn't handle it anymore. I realized that I was just being a bitch to her, even when she was sober. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be a bitch to her. Like, I'm not like that. I just couldn't handle it anymore. Like, there was a very short window of time where I could talk to her while she was sober, and it was like after work before she got drunk, right? Like every single day. And so I'm like, you know what? You do you. I can't do this anymore. So I'm going to go. Well, she got sober, but then she would throw it in my face and be like, a cocktail would be nice right now. And she would do things like that over the years. And I'm like, then have a cocktail. You know, like I felt like she just quit drinking because I quit talking to her. But it's not like I told her to quit drinking. I'm like, I can't be around you. And like, I recognized that I was being a bitch even when she was sober, and like I didn't want to be like that to her, and I was feeling bad. So I'm like, hey, I can't do this anymore. And then she quit drinking. We had a relationship for years, and like I still had to have her exit my life because it was just too toxic, even when she was sober, you know, because it's not like she's done any counseling or inner healing, wound therapy, anything like that, you know. But it's just like the difference in experience for the same disease, and it's brutal.
You know, your feelings are valid, and you know, it's really one of the things that I notice a lot, especially with the generations and the difference between the understanding of what healing is. And again, it ties back to identity. A lot of their concepts of self rely on this. Like you mentioned it being like a disease. And if you notice, a lot of people treat it like medicine, like alcohol, like medicine.
Yeah.
Whereas like what we as in our generation consider a disease, they consider a healer. They didn't have as you expand, you learn more and you understand more. So you're an expanded version of your mom. You're not your mom. You're not her trauma. You're not her choices. You know, you don't ever have to become anything that you don't decide to be. But it took you understanding and expanding your own self to decide like, hey, I'm having a child. I don't want to bring, this energy of what my mom makes me feel to my child. And that is a very, very healthy and very conscious choice that ends up feeling like triggered by guilt, because in some way, shape, or form, you feel as though you're wrong by not allowing your mom into your life. But in reality, it's not that you're separating yourself from your mom and you aren't being a bitch. It's you deciding that you are now somebody that is living a healed life. And if somebody doesn't want to live a healed life and be in your energy, then they wouldn't feel comfortable there anyway. Because a lot of the things you had to heal from were experiences and circumstances that you didn't choose to be in.
Right.
You didn't ask to be here. You didn't choose your parents. Like, they did the best with what they knew how to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there also is abilities within ourselves to know, maybe, damn, I should try to be like a better listener to her on what she's feeling. And maybe what I'm saying to evoke this emotion that I would normally use to get what I want is not the best way to do so right now, because, she's having a child and she's going to be, so it takes expansion. And like, in all reality, you are what is a leader in your family. You might think right now in this moment, it's like you're alienated and like you're separated from them. But what happens is you're going to use your growth and your story and like your ability to heal. And they're eventually going to be watching you like, wow, like she's happy, she's healthy, she looks great, she is prospering. All I had to do was quit drinking. That's it. All I had to do was address the issues that I've been pushing down within myself.
Oh, yeah.
And I swear, one of the things that really like honestly was like a shocker to me when I made the decision to stop drinking, it literally was just, I'm all right. Right now, I'm deciding I'm not going to drink today. And then every time that I want to make the choice to drink, I'm just going to ask myself, is this really the best way to love myself? And I just simplified it. But when I talk about it to people, they look at me like I am nuts. They like, make me seem like I'm extraordinary in the sense of like, how could you do that? That's so much willpower. Like, what did you do to do that? And in my mind, all I can think is like, you are identifying as someone that cannot stop drinking. And so that is exactly who you will be.
Yeah.
And like, you have to understand too, like, until that mindset is expanded past that of like even being able to live a life without it.
I saw a meme a couple weeks ago and it says, coming from someone who is sober from alcoholism or drinking, just like how you can't understand how I can't just have one drink, I don't understand how you can.
It's funny too, because it's not even just alcohol. Any of the unhealthy choices that you make or you decide to make that it's like, it's almost like programmed in you because it's like you've done it so long and like you've been in it. Like for instance, when I was like heavier and weighed a lot more, I didn't realize how much I was packing on weight because of alcohol.
Right.
But I would say 50% of the pounds came off because of alcohol. 50%
100%.
were literally emotions I was storing within myself. And it made me eat less because I was literally saying to myself, well, do I need more of this food? Because this isn't the best way to love myself. I know that I'm going to literally feel kind of crappy tomorrow if I have 12 Oreos. It's not going to set me up for a good day.
Yeah.
So it's also a shift in consciousness. It's something that I seen firsthand when I was going through the like decision making. This is going to be a very synonymous thing. There's going to be a lot of people that quit drinking. And it's because one, alcohol is not the same as it used to be. Two, there is a lot of weight to it. And we're in a time frame and a dimension now where we are freer than we've ever been. And that weight of alcohol is going to hold you into a dimension that you don't belong in anymore.
Yeah.
And it's going to hold you accountable to parts of yourself that don't belong in like a part of you anymore. So just understand too, like the more that you honor how you feel and let it be freely known, like if you're making the decision and trying to figure it out or go along with, or, go down that path, be very non-judgmental of yourself and like give yourself a lot of grace, because it didn't just happen in one day. It was a path, just like everything else. It's a journey, a path, a process. And that process literally helped me to understand who I was. And I just say you don't really know who you are unless you've met yourself completely sober for like 3 months. because most of us started drinking 16, 17, 18. I didn't meet myself until I was 25.
Yeah.
Because I had drank so much.
So this is crazy too. Like, I didn't say any of this because I just wanted to hear your story. But when I was growing up, like, I drank in high school just a couple times, but I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like being drunk. And I watched my mom being drunk like my whole life, and my dad, right? Like being crazy. And my mom did tell me all the effects of like alcoholism, like, and she got a DUI. She was at treatment during one of my birthdays, like, and I had to go to AA with her a lot. Like, I saw a lot. And she didn't hide her drinking. She did not hide it whatsoever. And like, I would pour her drinks down. But anyway, like, it's just, my mom did tell me about it a lot. Like, she pounded it into me, like the effects of it and like what it would do to me, like long term. Like, and I didn't even drink really at all until I was 30. And like, then that's just...
You don't drink now either.
No,
you don't drink a lot now. Like, when you do have drinks, like, you only have like one or two.
At dinner, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't drink at home, and it's just crazy. Like,
do you think that's the result of your mom, like, being able to see it and your mom telling you about it versus her mom, you know, making it disappear and not really having that conversation?
I don't know, because like, don't people have the gene or not? Because like, I've drank enough at this point. I feel like if I was to not be able to control alcohol, like, because I just don't drink, like, I don't get drunk like ever, and I just don't like it really, you know, the feeling. So I'll have one good cocktail or two, maybe that's it.
Yeah. Well, that's a misconception. Everything in life that either we're born into or we experience, you either become it or the adverse of it. You have basic human right, which is a choice. And every single person has their own reaction to everything. For instance, if you have a brother, your brother might be a raging alcoholic, and you guys grew up in the same household with the same parents, living the same lifestyle, and it's because of only two choices that every human being has. It's either you become your circumstances or you become the adverse of it. I no longer adapt as my personality, and I technically never did because I suppressed it so deep that I was literally like carrying it around like a chicho, like a gut. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a painful extra weight that was just I was wearing unconsciously, and it was affecting every choice that I made. You know, and that was why I even had brought it up, like, about my ex, because that was how I coped with it. And the way that you cope with your trauma is deciding, I know what I am able to control, and I'm able to control how much I drink, so that way I don't have to become or do something or be something that I know I don't want to be.
Yeah, but with that being said, I did have trauma because of how I was raised, that it was like a fear of abandonment, neglect is what I've come to find out. But, you know, I've gone through a lot of therapy, and like, now I know what I would have to do is like, I would have to be in control of my life. Like, when I would fly, I would be scared to fly because I'm not in control. I had to be in control of my life. And if I felt out of control, I was not okay. And so like, that's why I didn't like drinking. I feel like that's why I didn't like doing drugs. I like, you're out of control. Like, you don't know what's going on. I can't. So I've learned a lot through therapy. So yeah. It was nuts, like realizing the responses and the trauma from my childhood. Also, I was very codependent, and like, I wanted someone to rely on me. So I had a child young, you know.
There's a question I consistently ask myself. And this was like after therapy. This was when I was really on like a very holistic, like a mental holistic, because I'm not giving up Oreos for anybody. At first it started where I was trying to understand who I was, and then I was trying to completely not be anyone. And I say it because, when did you decide how you coped with what you went through? You know, like you mentioned like, oh, I feel I don't like to fly because I have to be in control. And like, when did you decide that? Because, and the reason why I say it is, if 16-year-old you or 17-year-old you decided these things for your life, is she the same person now today that you're living in an experience that your 16 and 17-year-old self decided for you?
Right. That's why it's so important to unpack and unheal, so you're not going through that cycle over and over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
And even before you unpack or unheal, awareness, like, it's literally, it's not, it's like, before you even do anything, you have to be. And if you are, anything that is something is weighing you down. And it started off just not wanting anyone to make me feel like they could hurt me and like say something to me or like hurt my feelings based on if I didn't identify with. Like, you can't hurt my feelings if that's not even who I am. Yeah. And I literally had to peel off the layers of who I thought it was. You start realizing a lot of this stuff, I decided at like 16 years old that this was me and it's not me, you know?
Yeah. And you carry a lot of guilt and shame from your parents and their parents, and
and then
until you break the cycles and become aware and like be open-minded, right? And like through therapy too, like there's been so many times where my therapist has said something and I didn't understand it until I heard it like maybe 5 times. And then I finally understood in like a different way. You know, those moments are like, aha, it's just amazing, really. And therapists are amazing. Like you talk about your therapist, same. Mine, I feel exactly the same way. Love her.
I wish I could find her. I'd be looking her up on LinkedIn.
Like, where are you now? So you're 3 years sober, which congratulations on that. You telling me how like you couldn't even believe it yourself. Could you talk about your like the identity now that you identify as who you truly are?
I mean, now definitely I think that I'm so far into this like processing of myself that I don't even identify with it at all. Like people will drink around me and they're like, oh, do you mind if I drink? And I'm like, I literally don't care. But you know, there'll be like times in the summer where like I'll smell wine and I'm like, oh, it smells so good, you know. But it's like I just think about the fact it would just take one time for me to drink and then literally go drive my car and crash it, or
just be like lose your sobriety. Like that's amazing to say that you have 3 years, you know, and just being aware of like knowing how much better life is.
It is one of my biggest accomplishments. Like I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of really cool things I'm proud of, but I did this for myself based in love for myself. There was literally no other reason. Like I didn't quit drinking to stay in my relationship. I didn't quit drinking because I was going to go to jail. I didn't quit drinking because, you know, my, like I did it for someone else or something else.
Right. I
did it because I literally love myself and I just didn't like how I was treating myself when I drank, or I didn't like the abuse that I was on myself when I drank, and I didn't deserve it. And what happened over time too is the more that I stopped drinking, the more that I started realizing how much about alcohol I didn't know, and like how I was pouring it into my body, not realizing the whole spiritual aspect of it. Just understanding like I never had been on this side of the fence where there were so many more reasons that I shouldn't drink it than I being on this side of the fence, just it being my exact lifestyle. What else am I just accepting as my lifestyle that shouldn't even be in it? You know? And you were asking too, like, what does resilience mean to me? Like when I literally every day, like tell myself I am resilient, I am a resilient being. And I do this because I realized like I have overcome so many things that I never even acknowledge because I'm so busy trying to get on to the next thing.
That's literally resilience.
And I realized that over time, if you don't acknowledge how far you've come, you're technically just not appreciating how powerful you are and like how significant and purposeful you are. Because all of the things that we go through in order to share our story, in order to share our coping mechanisms, our perceptions, and our points of view, and allow someone else the freedom and the space to take that information in and do with it as they wish.
Girl,
because that expands us.
You did one of the best jobs that I have heard on my podcast so far at doing just that. You spit so much wise information, like you such a good job.
Gems from top to bottom, and I was just laughing because she didn't even have to ask the question. Like you just knew how and where to answer it.
Well, we in tune now, guys. We all in tune. But we don't ever realize or recognize how resilient we really are. Like if you think about it, like you were just saying, you had 2 kids, like your body literally split in fucking half. Like Christ. And that is so beautiful. Like it's fucking set up to do that.
Right.
And then get right back together and be snatched and be beautiful and be fierce and be on the podcast talking about healing and like you literally are in purpose right now. Like and it's like wow. Like I think about even just that aspect of like I am a woman. Like I am literally here on this earth to multiply, and like at some point someone is going to pop out of my body. And I have to be able to regenerate it back, and like eventually I need some advice on that, you know. So everything that we go through is like growing through in order to heal and expand our society, our community, you know, our world literally into a bigger, better version. And so like hearing your story about you and your mom, and like me sharing my story, and like knowing Bennett's story, and even Catherine, it's like you never really know who is right around you that is dealing with the same thing or is just as resilient as you and like dealing with something that you could help one another out with, anything like that, you know? So
I mean, when you were speaking earlier, like I just thought about, because like a lot of people are struggling with drinking right now. They're like, can't even imagine not drinking, like, and wanting to stop and like being like, no, I just can't. Like, I at least have to have 1 or 2 or 3 or like whatever. This is gonna help so many people because you said so many things in such a different way. Honestly, like I was thinking about a lot of people who are struggling right now that are going to be listening that are going to hear a different point of view. I had that thought when you were speaking.
Your interview and your story overall, it's already helped so many people for sure. And
yeah, thank you.
It's going to do so for the listeners. And like, I'm just so proud of you, Maddie.
Yeah.
You know, evolving, and not only in this aspect, like you're obviously taking your journey with alcohol, but applying that to all aspects of your life across the board. And I think that's really, really inspiring. And it's important. Everybody could take a piece out of your story and apply it to theirs, no matter what they're going through.
Thank you. And you too. You helped me understand too that like you don't have to really understand, you know, all the aspects of where you're going. It's just like you literally are going there and you just got to keep going, you know, keep going and keep you know, triumphant, because Bennett, you are so resilient. I've watched you grow from like a young man into a grown man, and it's like, wow, like, you know, you literally just decided no matter what is happening around me, I'm getting where the hell I'm going. Like, you know, and it's so inspiring. And so, you know, keep being that, keep doing that, and keep like embodying that, because it's the same thing for you. It's literally showing someone or other people around you that it's still possible no matter what happens in your life.
Totally.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You're incredibly inspiring as well. And I didn't know what you were going to say. I didn't really know what you're going to speak about. Just I knew it was going to be about alcohol, and that was it. So I want to commend you and say thank you for being so open and vulnerable with what you did speak about, because that is a topic that a lot of people don't know how to speak about as well. So thank you. Where can we find you?
So I am Instagram, Maddivation. Yeah, just find me on Instagram.
Yeah, okay, cool. Maddivation, baby.
All right, I'm gonna go find you.
Well, I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you, and I am inspired myself, and I know everyone else will be. Now,
all right,
it's time.
It's time for a new game.
Yes.
Okay, we collabed on this one.
Yep.
It's Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Zodiac signs. Okay, so are you ready for yours?
Yeah. So you want me to answer first?
Yes.
Okay. So Fuck, Marry, Kill, if you don't know how the game works, is Bennett came up with 3 zodiac signs who I have to assign if I would fuck, marry, or kill them, and vice versa for him. So what are the 3 signs that I have?
Let's get it poppin'. The first one is Virgos. So Virgo men. The second one is Capricorn men.
Okay.
All right.
Capricorn.
And the third one, we are going to go with Leo.
Okay.
Virgo, Capricorn, Leo.
And Leo. Okay. Fuck, marry, kill. I would fuck a Leo.
Okay, why?
Because they're just fire. And the lion. Rawr. Big dick energy for sure. I would marry a Capricorn. Because I'm a Taurus, that's an earth sign, we would get along. Virgos are also an earth sign, but I would absolutely have to kill a Virgo.
I heard Capricorns are, what do you call it though? They have money.
So do Virgos and Taurus. We're all earth.
Okay,
that's
so
Pentacles.
Okay, Pentacles.
So you said 2 earth signs, and I'm an earth sign. I could definitely marry a Capricorn. And I would have to kill a Virgo. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Oh my God.
I don't care if you're male or female.
Virgos,
you're fucking
really
done.
It's just they're so perfect,
and I attract them.
Think
like
they're perfect.
Yeah, it doesn't turn out well.
No,
if you know what I'm saying.
It didn't.
Okay, your turn.
Yes, who do you got for me? Let's see.
So I wrote 3 down on a piece of paper.
Okay.
I thought we were gonna pick the same 3, but we didn't. We only picked one of the same ones.
Okay.
The first one was a Virgo.
A Virgo. Okay.
Yes. Second, Aries, and the third one is gonna be Sagittarius.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sagittarius. So
okay. So who am I going to? This will be surprising to you, but I am going to fuck the Aries, and this is why. I'm not like a big fan of Aries. Like we really don't get along. In fact, I believe like Libras and Aries are like total opposite on like whatever. Like
on the astrological chart.
Yes.
Okay.
So you know how they say opposites attract and stuff? They say that about Libras and Aries, like that even though they repel, that they would do really good together. So I bet that the sex would be amazing. Not that I have had sex with Aries, but you know what they say, opposites attract. So I'm gonna fuck the Aries.
Okay.
I'm gonna marry the Sag because I love Sages. Love Sages. They're so loud. And
I attract Sages as well.
Yes, I love loud, confident, and who did I just get? Oh, I know the Aries are loud and confident, but I think Sages are so much cooler. You feel me? So I'm definitely gonna marry them, and then. Just like you, I'm going to kill the Virgo because I've never been with a Virgo or had sex with a Virgo or anything, but I just feel like Virgos are kind of bland and boring to me.
And they cause problems.
That part too.
So anyways.
Fuck, marry, kill.
That was fun.
Holla at me if you're a Sagittarius at BennettKnows.
Oh.
Or Aries.
I get along best with Sagittarius, Cancer, and Pisces.
The DMs are open. And so are these legs.
Oh, shit.
With open legs and open mouth.
All right,
let me
then.
stop. Let me stop. Okay. I don't discriminate. Anybody. DMs are open.
Anybody.
I'm not
Have some
thirsty.
standards.
Okay. I'm not thirsty. Actually, you know what's funny? I was talking to one of my friends and I'm like, no one's ever in my DMs. And she was like, well, look at your Instagram. All it looks like is radio. Like you need to clean it up. So we went through my Instagram and deleted a lot of photos.
Oh shit, I'm gonna have to take a look.
Yeah, so go check it out. She was like, this gotta go, that gotta go,
that's
this
funny.
gotta go.
I'm gonna go
So
look.
now I'm hoping that my Instagram looks more like DM open accessible.
Oh, shit.
So I hope, go check it out at BennettKnows and slide in my DMs. Let me know what you think.
My Instagram looks like we're together. Like it looks like we're together. Like we cock block each other.
Oh yeah, that was
just-
my last photo too.
People automatically think that we're together, I think. Maybe that's why we're not getting DMs.
Because they think we're with each other. You know what? I'm gonna archive all photos with you now.
It's gonna look like we had a breakup.
You do the same. Now we're gonna have a breakup. That's so funny.
All right, well that does it for this week.
Yes.
Hit us up.
And let us know if you want to actually do trivia, hot seat trivia.
Oh, trivia's fun too.
Brains against Alex because she is the undefeated queen. So hit us up if you want to do that. Slide into the DMs. We'll feature you on the next episode. That would be so cool. Back to hot seat trivia.
Next week. You heard it here.
You heard it here first, folks.
Hit us up on Instagram at ResilientAF3. You can also follow us individually. I'm at ThatDreyes.
I am at BennettKnows.
Have a great week, y'all.
Bye.